My brain completely empties when I'm motor racing because I'm obsessed. And it's everyone else is going for pole position. Mm-hmm. I'm going for a reasonable position. And it's not easy, you know, especially as you get older. And the nice thing about that series is you hardly ever hit anything.
Which is a good thing.
They're not going fast enough when they come off.
So has that inspired any of the songs on the new album, or is it all about travelling into London and looking at couples in cars?
No, that hasn't inspired me at all.
And you're going to go on tour with it, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you talk a little bit, I know, and you've talked about it before, finding that kind of quite a nerve-wracking experience still.
Yeah, I'm not very good at being a star. I wish I was. You know, I get really jealous when I see people like Freddie Mercury and stuff like that, you know, who they have all the actions, they have the crowd like this. And I can't do that. I never could. You know, I never meant to be a singer.
Right.
I was always going to be a slide guitarist that did film music. But this thing is, the doctors tell me I should be thankful.
Chris Rea turned 74 on March 4th, 2025. And if you've been seeing videos claiming he's died or is in his final days, here's what's actually happening. The British singer-songwriter who gave us Driving Home for Christmas and The Road to Hell has been living on borrowed time since 1994, when doctors told him he had months to live after a pancreatic cancer diagnosis. That was 31 years ago, and Rea is still here. But the story of how he got to this point and what he's doing now is worth understanding, because it's not what those dramatic headlines are suggesting. March 4th, 1951 brought Christopher Anton Rea into the world in Middlesbrough, England, the son of an Italian-Irish ice cream factory owner named Camillo Rea. His father wanted him to take over the family business, but music pulled him in a different direction, and by the 1970s he was playing guitar and writing songs that would eventually make him one of Britain's most distinctive voices. The raspy, worn quality of his singing came partly from his style, but also from years of smoking, something that would catch up with him later in ways nobody expected when he was starting out. Success arrived gradually through the late 70s and 80s, with albums that built a following in Europe, while America mostly ignored him except for Fool If You Think It's Over, which hit number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1978. Britain loved him though, and by the time 1989's The Road to Hell topped the UK charts, Rea had established himself as an artist who wrote about ordinary life, driving, and the frustrations of modern existence with a bluesy rock sound that felt authentic rather than manufactured. Then 1994 happened, and everything changed when doctors diagnosed him with pancreatic cancer and told him he probably had 4 months left to live. Pancreatic cancer kills most people within a year of diagnosis, one of the deadliest forms of the disease with survival rates that make other cancers look manageable by comparison. And Rea was staring at that reality in his early 40s, with a career just hitting its stride. He underwent a Whipple procedure, which is major surgery where they remove part of your pancreas, duodenum, gallbladder, and bile duct, then reconstruct your digestive system, and somehow he survived it. The surgery saved his life but destroyed his stomach in ways that changed how he could live. And Rea spent the next decade dealing with complications that doctors kept telling him would kill him soon. 2000 brought peritonitis, a life-threatening infection of the abdominal lining that required emergency surgery, and then in 2001 the cancer came back, showing up again and requiring another round of treatment that he wasn't supposed to survive. Medical teams kept preparing him for the end, and Rea kept not dying, pushing through complications and infections and recurrences that should have finished what the first diagnosis started. His music during this period reflected someone who thought every album might be his last, and you can hear it in the lyrics and the choices he made about what to record. Blue Guitars arrived in 2005 as an 11-CD box set covering blues from every angle. A massive project that felt like a man trying to get everything out before time ran out. Santo Spirito Blues followed in 2011, then Road Songs for Lovers in 2017, which Rea announced would be his final studio album, the last time he'd record new material because he was done with the music industry and ready to step away on his own terms. That 2017 announcement sparked the first wave of speculation about his health declining and final days approaching, because when an artist says they're recording their last album, people assume the worst. But Rea's reasoning had more to do with frustration than mortality. He'd been fighting with record labels for decades, unhappy with how the industry worked and tired of the promotional cycles and the demands that came with releasing music through traditional channels. Streaming had changed everything, and Rea wanted nothing to do with it, preferring to control his own catalog and legacy without Spotify or Apple Music taking cuts of his work. Since 2017, Rea hasn't released new studio albums, but he's been far from inactive, continuing to tour occasionally when his health allows and staying connected to fans through his official website and social media managed by his team. September 2023 brought a tour announcement that surprised people who thought he'd retired completely, with dates scheduled across Europe for October and November that sold out quickly, proving that his audience hasn't forgotten him, even if mainstream radio stopped playing his music years ago. His health remains the constant question mark hanging over everything he does, because pancreatic cancer survivors who make it past 5 years are rare enough. And Rea is now 31 years out from that initial diagnosis that should have killed him in 1994. He's been open in interviews about living with the aftermath of the surgeries, describing digestive issues that make eating difficult and energy levels that fluctuate unpredictably, forcing him to pace himself in ways that frustrated him when he was younger, but that he's accepted as the price of still being alive. The internet's obsession with declaring him dead or dying picked up steam in 2024 and into 2025, with YouTube channels and social media accounts posting videos claiming inside information about his declining health or imminent death, but none of these claims have been backed up by statements from Rea, his family, or his management team. What's actually happening is that Rea is at an age where health complications are inevitable given his medical history, and the combination of his past cancer battles plus his decision to stop recording new albums has created a narrative that he's fading away, even though there's no evidence he's actively dying right now. His last confirmed public appearance came during those autumn 2023 tour dates, where fans who attended the shows reported that he looked frailer than in previous years, but still performed with the skill and passion that made him famous. The setlist focused on his classic material, Driving Home for Christmas, getting massive reactions everywhere he played it, and Rea seemed genuinely happy to be on stage even if his body couldn't quite do everything it used to do. What makes the speculation harder to verify or deny is that Rea's never been active on social media personally, preferring to let his management handle the official channels, and he's given very few interviews in recent years, making it difficult to know exactly what his day-to-day life looks like now in 2025. His wife Joan, who he married in 1986, has stayed out of the spotlight entirely, and their 2 daughters have maintained privacy around their father's health in ways that protect him but also fuel rumors when people can't get solid information. The medical reality is that someone who survived pancreatic cancer twice and underwent the kind of surgeries Rea endured is living with permanent damage to vital organs, and every year past 70 becomes more precarious regardless of how strong someone's will to survive might be. Doctors who've spoken generally about cases like his point out that the Whipple procedure and its complications often lead to long-term issues with nutrition absorption, diabetes, and digestive problems that compound with age, meaning Rea's quality of life has probably declined, even if he's not actively dying from cancer recurrence. His musical legacy sits secure regardless of what happens next, with Driving Home for Christmas becoming a seasonal standard that earns him royalties every winter, and The Road to Hell remaining relevant as a commentary on modern life that somehow hasn't aged despite being recorded in 1989. Britain claims him as a national treasure, the kind of artist who captured something essential about British life in the late 20th century, and his influence on blues rock guitarists continues through younger musicians who grew up listening to his albums. December 2025 finds Chris Rea alive at 74, not touring currently, but not officially retired either, living quietly with his family while the internet keeps writing dramatic narratives about his final days. The truth is probably less dramatic than those headlines suggest, but more complicated than simply saying he's fine. Because someone who survived what Rea's survived doesn't get to have fine as a health status anymore. He's living in the aftermath of battles that should have killed him decades ago, dealing with complications that make every day harder than it used to be, but still here and still in control of his own story. What happens next is anybody's guess because Rea's already defied medical expectations so many times that predicting his future seems pointless. But for now, he's doing exactly what he said he'd do back in 2017. Living life on his own terms away from the music industry's demands, while his catalog continues finding new listeners through YouTube and streaming platforms he wants nothing to do with. The final days everyone keeps talking about haven't arrived yet, And if Rea's track record tells us anything, they probably won't arrive on anyone's schedule but his own.